What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. So I'm going to give you a quick rundown. I'll show you a clip from it. I ended up going back and working on the Drift V, and I ordered a shorter AC belt and it was the wrong size, so then I got a longer one. It still was just a little too short, so I gotta go the next size up. I'll do that on another day because right now obviously the car's gone from its spot under the tent out here, and I dropped it off at Bell Raceworks to get the cage installed. So while that is away, I have some projects that I'm going to be doing over the next week or so that I basically, without the car here, I can get these things done, and they're all things that I also need to get done. So quick rundown. I got the car running on a base tune, and I'll show it to you guys here in a sec. And basically I'm going to be bringing it somewhere to get tuned, which I mentioned in the last video. But the whole video I was making, I ended up just deleting it because with the AC belt not working, I had a dead battery in the car, my starter was giving me issues. I was like, this video is going nowhere, so I just erased it. Moving on. Sounds good. Still smells rich. I mean, it's catless, but I started it and it was water all over the place. The upper rad hose was leaking, so I put a different clamp on it, like a worm gear clamp, and it's good now. It's been running though. I mean, it got up to temp, the fan kicked on. He has everything. Yeah, I'm at 225 right now, which is like operating temperature for like sitting in traffic. He has everything, like the fans to come on at like the stock times and whatnot. But I mean, it sounds healthy. Got this thing started. Sure enough, the battery in this thing was dead too, but it was under warranty. I went to AutoZone, got another battery today, fired right up, let it run, let it idle. You guys probably saw if you follow me on Instagram. If you don't, follow me on Instagram. I'll put it right here. This car is basically in line for getting a new front bumper that I already have. It's painted, it's ready to go on the car. I just gotta take the quick latch pieces off. I have 265s for the rear. I need to order some bigger tires for the front to basically just fill the void, because I'm going to be setting the car's ride height on basically fitting a 265 in the front of the car. And I used to run 265 in the rear with a 245/40 in the front, and this is a 235/40, and we got some gap. I plan on trying to fix these up a little bit and get this thing back to a much more functional ride height that doesn't rub too bad in the rear. So I don't know if you guys can tell, but I have the 9.5 plus 22s that I've always had all around up here in the front. But in the back here, I have 9 plus 30s. So they're a little less concave, but they sit in more. So you get a little bit there. So what I can do is I can mount those 265s on these 9s, and I can have a little bulge from the tire and hopefully not rub too bad, but have good fitment, good tire fitment basically is what I'm looking for there. So I also need to throw the last tow arm on this car and order a new wing for it, because I robbed the wing for the Drift V, and I'm hoping that shortly after I put the new front bumper on, I can get one of those new carbon fiber front lips that one guy makes on the V pages. Over here, I cleaned the carpets from the Drift V as best I could. They're still pretty wet, but I'm going to give them another rinse. I'm going to vacuum them out, and then I am going to be dyeing these black. So I bought some dye today, and we're going to dye them black because I want to put the carpet back in the Drift V. I mean, I want it to be nice. I want it to be comfortable while I'm drifting, and I love having carpet in drift cars. The main focus of today's video, though, is going to be, I think, installing airlift bags on the Suburban. Long story short, I was supposed to buy another Suburban on Friday. Seller backed out last minute. Kind of screwed me a little bit there, because I was planning on driving that home in October when we go home, and we bring the Drift V and all that. So I was going to use these 2 weeks that the car was getting caged to basically prep that truck and swap over and whatnot, and just do things to it to get it ready for a trip. So he backed out. We still have Judy. Judy wasn't going anywhere. I wasn't getting rid of her, but I now have some stuff that I need to do to this that I was going to do to the other truck. Now, the reason that I was buying another truck because it was a rust-free Florida truck. Judy, she's a little crusty. She is a little crusty. She's a Northeastern truck, but looks like she's getting airbags and she's making a trip home in October. So let's slide on in here and look at our parts. So it's pretty simple. We have a lower bracket, we have an upper bracket, we have 2 airbags, we have the other set of brackets, and we have this alignment tool that will help us get everything aligned prior to putting in the airbags. Then we have a bag here of U-bolts and just general hardware. And then in this bag here, we have our airlift sticker and we have our air lines. So these air lines will be run to each bag individually, and I think it should be pretty straightforward. So I'm gonna take a look at the instructions and then let's get this wheel off. Please notice and ignore crustiness. Get the wheel off. We're gonna start with the driver's side. I'll jack it up and we'll take a look and see what we got under here and how we're gonna get this thing installed. I think one thing to note, 1/2 ton or 3/4 ton Suburbans, they mount behind the axle as opposed to the trucks, which I'm assuming are either in the middle of the axle or in front. All right, pop the wheel off. I am fully aware that I need new brakes. That is on my list of things that I will be doing. I was just kind of putting it off. Again, there's things that I was like, dang, I really need to do before our next road trip that I was putting off, expecting to get this truck. Brakes is one of them. In the rear, I did front ones. But we're looking in here. Our bump stops are gone. Not really necessary though. But we have our whole leaf spring, and it looks like we start by using that alignment tool and putting our base. We'll just tighten it up loose on the bottom here, and then we'll use the alignment tool to kind of see where that puts our upper bracket. And then I'm thinking from there, it'll sit right around here. We will make some, mark some points. We'll drill some holes. We'll bolt it to the frame, and we'll be good to go. I fluid filmed this whole truck before our summer road trip home. And I think I'm gonna do it again before our fall road trip home, because basically I'm just trying to slow down the rust. The frame, while being rusty, yes, it is solid. I mean, the frame is still in good shape. You know, you can take a look all the way back there, but then you got like vent lines like that, and you have, you know, body panels like this. But frame is still in good shape, and I'm gonna just keep loading it up with fluid film as needed, basically just to try and keep it, you know, good for as long as I can. I have the lower bracket right here. We took our bolt for the bottom of the springs. I just threaded it into the alignment tool, but enough so I could still move it around. And we have our lower bracket here. I kind of just centered it on the leaf spring, and then we have our C-clamp U-bolt down here, sorry. So what you see here is where it's gonna mount on the frame, and I need to basically come up a little bit here. So I'm gonna get further in the instructions. I don't wanna jump ahead, but I'm thinking I will have to loosen this nylon washer. I'll just show you what I mean. And basically, you know, with this guy kind of positioned, lift it up to be the proper spot on the frame, because I mean, even just with the alignment tool, you know, it's shorter than the bag, so the bag can go up. So I'm gonna keep reading the instructions and I will check in. I'm gonna tighten this guy up. We'll basically get the bottom all set and done, and then we'll move up to the top section. So I now have my alignment tool here. We have the 2 nylon nuts there. So we basically raised this guy up to the appropriate height. We have all of our bolt holes are away from the bends in the frame and whatnot, and they're at a good spot. This guy's just all hand tight down here, but we'll get that snugged up. So now we're gonna get to drilling some holes. We're gonna do the opposite corners first, and then we'll do the other 2 opposite corners. That way we don't have any movement or anything. and we should be good. Moving this guy out of the way is a little easier. You just kind of lift on it. It has these clips that clip in there and there, so I can at least move that out of the way if needed, and you can pop the clips back in too once you're done. So yeah, let's start drilling some holes. We'll mark some spots and try and wrap this thing up. All right, so I have my 4 3/8 holes drilled up here on the frame. I'm gonna shoot them with some spray paint, let that dry real quick before I put it on. Once the paint dries on there, I'm gonna bolt the bracket up here, and then it says to collapse the airbag and basically get the top in first, and then line it up with the bottom bolt here, and then we'll get that bottom bolt tight. So now that I have the bracket finally mounted, it's kind of a pain, but hopefully the other side goes a little easier. I'm going to feed this guy up through, and I think what I was saying was not gonna work, but I'll feed this. All right, let's see. We'll get our 90 up through here. And it appears to me that I should have put the 90 on earlier, or after the fact. Put it in there. Line that guy up right there. And I'm going to use a 19 wrench to hold this bolt in place. We'll just spin this to snug it up. We won't crank anything tight yet until we get to the end. So we are snugged up right there, like so. Actually, that's a little too snug because I have no movement. Okay, still got some movement there. I'm gonna toss this fitting back in up here. Finger tight, and then once finger tight, I'll give it another full spin. So that's one, and I'll give it a half, like so. All right, now we will get our nylon nut that we were using earlier. Feed that guy on top, and I'll just thread that on, size it up, tighten it down. Now it doesn't have to be crazy tight. Now I'll show you guys in a minute where I routed the airlines to. I think it's a pretty creative spot, if I had to say so myself. I saw someone else do it on the Suburban group online, but now I'm just trying to route the airline up. And all right, so I have my spot where I'm going to cut. Just going to use a sharp blade. You want a good square cut on there, because with these push lock fittings, and I have some good slack on there as well. So I'm going to go ahead and push this guy in. Basically push it in until it bottoms out, give it a little tug. You know it's good. Just move the hose out of the way. I got some slack here. I'm gonna throw some zip ties up in here just to this wire loom. But otherwise, as you can see, it is fully hooked up. So now I'm gonna show you where I put the other end of the line. Basically what I did was I popped these I took my license plate off, popped these guys off, and I use the hole right there for my air chuck spot. Now all I'm gonna have to do is make the hole in my license plate just a little bit bigger, and on the plate frame too, if I decide to keep the plate frame, and these will slide right over, and then you just use your air cap on the end to finish it off. So we have plenty of space once I tighten it up, and and we'll be good. So right now I'm gonna put some air in it. I actually have my compressor right here, and it's got about 50 pounds in it. So let's air this side up and see what happens. I can feel the truck lifting. That's about 40 PSI. And there you go, you can see the bag now took shape, and it's in there. The truck actually raised as I was doing that. I could feel it, so that's kind of funny. I'm really excited to drive with this thing on when we go pick the Cadillac up from the cage, about 3 hours away, with the trailer on it, and that's when I'm really gonna feel the difference that these airbags make. So it took longer than expected, just because of just things specific to this truck, some rust and whatnot. I'm covered in it, but either way, I'm gonna wrap up this other side. Then I'm gonna go inside, I'm gonna order some new rear brakes, and from there, we're gonna have airbags on the truck. I'll let you guys know when we go pick the car up with the cage how it feels. But honestly, I've had this truck for 4 years now, I think. Yeah, 4 years now. I don't know why it's taken me this long to do it. I think I was just kind of holding off because I wanted to get something else, especially something rust-free. But since that's probably not happening anytime soon, good old Jude sticking around, we're gonna rock with what we got, and we're gonna enjoy it. It's gonna make towing a lot better. It's gonna make the road trips home with or without the trailer a lot better. So the true test is going to be when we go up north for October, and we're bringing the Thule on top of the truck. We're bringing the Cadillac on the trailer. On top of that, we have basically our entire pit setup. So basically, if we were going to a drift event, we're gonna have about 8 additional wheels, tents, tables, tools, parts, all that stuff, plus all of our work stuff, our clothes, our everything like that for a month of travel. So this thing is gonna be loaded down. It's gonna be, it's gonna be heavy. And we've done it before, this heavy, and you can feel it. You can definitely feel it on the back of the truck and whatnot. But with these airbags, and like the truck's lifted 2 inches in the rear. When it squats, it doesn't look like it squats that bad, because that 2 inches of rake that it would normally have, it doesn't have, and then it squats a little bit. So it's actually squatting a good amount. So these airbags are definitely gonna make a huge difference in it. And I'm curious to see if we can get no squat on this thing fully loaded with the airbags. So I'll let you guys know when we pick the Cadillac up. Otherwise, thank you for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's not Cadillac or 3000 GT content, but it is some useful tow rig content. Yeah, other than that, thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe, hit the like button down below, help me out, and I'll see you in the next one. Listen.